standing outside of Spring Awakening, and that is because today we are talking to Ali Stroker, who is starring in Spring Awakening and who is the first person who uses a wheelchair to perform in Broadway history. We're going to be talking to Ali about that, about her role on Glee and Faking It, as well as the intersections of her differently abled identities, her bisexual identity, and of course her identity as a performer and a star. So let's go meet Ali.
Hi, I'm Ali Stroker. I am an actress, singer, dancer, and advocate.
Hi, how are you? Good, how are you?
And I identify as differently abled and bisexual.
I want to hear about Spring Awakening.
So this production, the entire show is translated into American Sign Language, and it is spoken and sung.
Mama, who gave me no way to handle things, who made me so sad. Mama.
Music and acting has played a huge part in my life. It's really given me a sense of purpose. That photo is at the upfronts.
Here?
Yeah, for the Glee project. And we're all doing prune. I'm like, prune. Yeah. The most rewarding part of being on the Glee project was the people I got to work with and the opportunities that the Glee project brought me to. I auditioned and went to the callbacks and ended up being cast on the show. And then a few months after the Glee project ended, I got a call from the casting office asking if I was available, like in January, to shoot an episode. And I was like,
what?
yes, I'm free.
Hi, Betty?
Yes? Oh God. What, did I beat you to the last handicap spot? Sorry.
I'm Artie. Miss Pillsbury said I should look out for you.
Hell no.
Glee was a show that completely changed, for me, my life and my career. First of all, because of the character, Artie, the fact that it was this young kid in a wheelchair singing and dancing. It sort of became this thing of like, oh, it's normal.
Were you ready for that level of visibility?
So I was injured in a car accident when I was 2 years old, and sort of all my life, especially in the town that I grew up in, people knew me and knew my story, and it was almost like that kind of attention always was there. But now it was the attention that I wanted, you know what I mean?
Right, you were claiming it for yourself.
Yeah, and that it was around my career and around a skill and a gift and a talent, not just my chair.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
What I mean? I've done roles where there have been prominent LGBTQ characters. I didn't choose those. It's like they come to me, and I think that when you are an actor or an actress and you're telling the truth, these stories come to you because you are the perfect vessel to tell the stories through. I don't actually even call it coming out of the closet. I had always said I believe there's someone out there for me. Mm-hmm. And so it was this really cool moment of I'm dating a woman, but first, I'm in love. And for me, when people would be like, oh, so, are you a lesbian? Are you gay? I was like, I don't know. I was I'm not sure. I don't know, but I'm, totally in love.
Yeah.
I said to my mom, because she was one of the people, I think, that was sort of, trying to wrap her head around it. And my mom was like, be careful about what you say, how you identify. And I was like, listen, I have never allowed my chair to define me, and this isn't going to define me either. I think labels are not really my thing because I feel like it sells myself and other people short because we are more than just a stamp.
One of the questions that I had for you is talking about how, queer identities, trans identities, differently abled identities sort of overlap, because I think that's kind of the crux of it, is that we assume a norm.
Yes.
So I would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I've talked a little bit about this before, but I had always felt like growing up, I didn't ever see people with disabilities, they were never put into a category of being sexy or sexual. And that for me was more of a thing than dating a girl. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was more okay, that's where I feel we need to, that these voices, these stories need to be heard.
Right, because it's not, again, it's visibility. It's, we are not seeing people in wheelchairs. We're not seeing so many bodies. There are so many bodies that are not shown as what they are, which is incredibly sexy.
I see similarities between the LGBTQ community and the disabled community, because I think that we've had to overcome obstacles and fight for equality. In overcoming something, there is a strength that is built within that community, and I'm proud to be a part of both. I was asked the other day in an interview, like, when you were growing up, like, did you have a role model in a wheelchair? And I was like, no. And then my next question was like, who would that have been?
Right.
I had the chance to perform at the Kennedy Center this summer for the 25th anniversary of the American Disabilities Act. And it was this really amazing moment to realize that, like, this is actually really all very new. And that in some ways we feel very behind, and in some ways it's just like it is right now.
And you're doing things for the first time, which is always a thing that blows my mind whenever that happens, right? How could it be that, like I am, you are, like, doing things for the first time?
Yes.
It's incredible, but it's also like, seriously?
I know.
As the child leads the way to a dream of belief.
A time of hope through the land.
I'm just thinking about, like, what it must feel like to be any audience member seeing this production, but certainly to be a deaf audience member seeing, you know, people who are like you doing these things again that you don't get to see very often, if ever.
It's been so cool to work with these deaf actors, because I think we really have this bond of understanding what it's like to feel at times excluded. There's not always an interpreter.
Right.
You know, and like I get it. Like last night we were at the wine bar and there's 3 steps to get in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, okay, so it's like always problem solving and having to be creative. For me, I identify more as differently abled, because I feel like dissing my abilities is not, I don't identify with that. Like, if I was dissing my abilities, I wouldn't be here. The coolest part about Spring Awakening has been performing on Broadway and getting the opportunity to share this really powerful story with a lot of people.
Thank you for having me in your apartment and for talking to me and
for coming
being awesome.
chatting. This was so fun.
Thank you all for watching. This has been amazing. Today I want to talk to you about what your favorite episode has been, what your favorite topic has been that we've covered. So let us know down below in the comments. Subscribe to our channel and see Spring Awakening. It's only on until January 24th, and you've got to go check it out if you're in New York City, even if you're not. Get on a plane. Just figure it out. You know what I mean? Get here. We'll see you soon. Bye.